Hello again, this is the Jordan, coach of the Virginia Vikavolts, and I am analyzing the top 8 teams in the recent VGC draft of the Sky Pillar Stadium League. Now the top 8 is very much my opinion, no games have been played yet. This is based on my own draft league experiences. Hopefully you find my commentary worthwhile whether you are a VGC master or a newbie. Check out the previous video for my analysis of the other 8 teams and an explanation of this rating system. I think you can probably figure out for yourself what offense means, but I just want to get into it. One thing before I go, I don't think I should rank my own team. I think it's somewhere in the top 8, but instead I'll analyze the top 7 teams and then discuss my team at the end. Sound good? You don't have a choice, I'm making the video. Number 7, Rawalpindi Scolipedes. We have a representative from Pakistan, which is cool, and Talal seems like a nice gentleman. We should start with Venusaur and Torkoal, hashtag Venusaur no skill. Jokes aside, this duo is a draft league and tournament classic. It's better than some draft leagues by itself. Rhyperior is a wonderful complement to those two. It has a water and grass weakness, but Venusaur and Torkoal covers that very well. I see 3 Trick Room setters here. Let's look them up. By the way, I'm using Ballhawk's draft planner / analysis doc. This is the best resource ever. Ballhawk's the commissioner of our league, and I've been using this since even before I knew about this league because everyone uses it. It's great. I'll put that in the description too. We have 3 Trick Room setters, and they're all bulky and different types, and they can be used in different situations. But I am most concerned about if Oranguru sets Trick Room and uses its signature move, Instruct, because then we get double Torkoal eruptions or double Rhyperior rock slides, and that sounds like no fun at all. Drampa, a pretty good alternative max option, and its Cloud 9 ability can turn off the sun if for some reason they don't want it. Which actually, sometimes they don't want the sun. This is kind of not everything in this team is sun-based. We'll get into that later, but we should talk about the Trick Room modes. This is the closest thing I think the league has to a hard Trick Room team. There's not anything that Talal wants to max often that's faster than like 40 besides Venusaur. Klinklang is decent, I guess. It's got this cute little plus-minus combo with Pikachu number 7, but Klinklang's fire weakness is amplified in Sun. Jellicent is reasonably strong, but its waterness is weakened in Sun. So Venusaur has to not come if these guys want to lead the team. But then the fast mode is just Persian Venusaur supported by Torkoal. It's a little tricky. This team's gonna struggle to win in fast mode, but the slow mode is really, really good. So that's kind of the key to this team. I think Persian is the standout support Pokemon. It has a ton of moves, of weird supportive moves that it can launch off quickly. Oh look, there's Persian's ugly face next to all of these moves, and Fake Out as well. Type Synergy is good. The fighting weakness is a little tricky. These are all important mons for the most part. Meowth is not an important mon, but the rest of them are. And then the ground weakness is the other issue. Butterfree can dodge ground moves, but you don't want to depend on Butterfree. I don't think that's a good switch in. So that's kind of the 2 issues, but everything else is really good here. Not a lot of issues, a lot of resistances, and the water, the sun mode blocks what you might see as some water weaknesses. Yeah, this team is based around Sun plus Trick Room, so Sun Room. And if you have an answer for Persian, Venusaur, and Butterfree, spoilers, use safety goggles, and then Trick Room, then you probably won, but to be fair, it's pretty hard to cover for all of those things at once. I would recommend Talal get another ground resist or immunity, possibly a Pokemon with Frisk to find where the safety goggles is. But beyond that, this is a good team with a ton of potential. I'm looking forward to see it play. Number 6, Chimpact and the Philadelphia Scizors. As a Philly native, I appreciate your logo. The power level on each Pokemon on this team is very high. This team has many different Pokemon that can lead this team to victory on different weeks. While there may be a few synergies that I'm missing here, the main thing that keeps this team outside the top 5 to me is the lack of immediate speed and speed control. For example, we have one Trick Room Setter and no Tailwind. We have not a lot of +1 and -1 speed control options. We have the slowest Pokemon at 54, so Gourgeist does not want to actually set Trick Room very often because every other team has a slower Pokemon than that. There's no good max options in the slower end either. I mean, Gourgeist is fine. But Blastoise is only really good in my book with Shell Smash, and that makes it a fast Pokemon. So for speed control, I believe Chimpact is depending on these two amazing max targets, Regigigas and Moltres Galar. Each of their max moves turns the speed dial in this team's favor. I'm concerned, though, that a faster team can stay ahead of them by matching max Airstreams or a fast Icy Wind or Tailwind. If the Scizors are forced to max to gain speed control, opponent can just plan to play defensively, and they can stall out the max and win in the second half of the game. So that's the concern about needing your max options to provide your speed control. We do have an amazing 5 fake outs in this team, so that's a good temporary momentum, which will maybe fix the speed control issue. But Protect is a move in the game, and that's probably what you want to do anyway when the opponent is maxing turn 1. So usually this team wants to start overwhelming and outpacing their opponent from turn 1. A surprise 3 Intimidate users can really help with this. 1, 2, 3. An anti-intimidate ability, though, could pose really big problems. Weakness Policy Moltres, procced and supported by Togedemaru, is legitimately able to overrun teams. Arcanine is a fast Stantic, that's what I'm going to say. Overall Pokemon, it's got all good stats, it's got a ton of support moves, but its last trick is Beat Up plus Justified, and I don't see a Beat Up user that's faster than it. I only see Scrafty, so that's going to be a little tricky to use. I would love to see Chimpact grab a really fast Beat Up user. Just get Dragapult, right? If you have 18 points lying around. But if this team makes just like a small adjustment or two, like something really fast, something really slow, something, Prankster or something, and then this team is a top contender. I am afraid of Regigigas. On to number 5, the MS Paint Youtubists by Jace. This coach is a very talented visual designer, and they chose to make the ugliest logo in the league for the memes. I like Jason's team. More importantly, I think it's a pretty funky team. I'm going to be curious to see how it plays. We have Double Weather, we have Venu Tails, and we have, Dracovish with Tyranitar for the Sun mode. Executor also benefits in Sun a little bit. So we have a nice balance where the Sun mode is special based and the Sand mode is heavy hitting physical. So you're going to struggle to have a team that really beats both. Grimmsnarl remains an infuriating pain in my ass to fight against, but it's one who demands respect. Registeel is an incredibly lame Pokemon, but nevertheless one that demands specific planning to beat. Hitmontop is another great support that can mess teams up. I'm not too afraid of Runerigus, and I frankly forgot that Articuno is in the game, but we'll see what they can do. The speed control potential is very high, but it's also pretty fragile. I don't know if Articuno is going to be able to set Tailwind before dying all of the time. There's some Bulldozers and T-Wave, but the main speed control comes with Venusaur, double speed in Sand, Dracovish, double speed in Sand, Venusaur in Sun. What I meant to say. The tricky part, though, is that this team might end up tripping over itself with the Double Weathers in the mid-game if it tries to bring Venusaur and T-Tar, which it's going to want to. They're just some of the strongest Pokemon it has. But that's going to be a problem if Trick Room comes up, where you're going to be like, oh, whoops, I'm way too fast. And so I would say that speed control is kind of the weak point of the team, but when you have Grimmsnarl, it's just such insane speed control and support that you have to give it pretty high marks. I see good type balance on this team. Fairy weakness is bad, fix that. But the ice weakness is going to be hard to actually use because I don't know if you want to bring ice Pokemon into sun mode, sand mode. These are pretty frankly common weaknesses, and I think Jace can work around them. Except for Fairy. Find a Fairy resist. Do we have a Steel type? No, we have no Steel types. Well, we have Registeel, but that's about it. Yeah. Maybe another Fire type, because it's Sun. Sun likes Fire types. So the other suggestion I would have would be another Trick Room attacker. Trick Room is gonna come against this team because nothing can outspeed Venusaur and Sun for the most part. And I don't know if you want to lead the team with Runerigus. Maybe Exeggutor is better than I'm thinking. It has a big special attack stat. We shall see. Honestly, you have to be a pretty good team builder to make this team in the first place, so I trust you, Jace, and I am looking forward to seeing what you do. Number 4, we have the Zealous Zebstrikas, coached by Angel. Angel's been really indecisive about her team, and I expect some transactions to be made, but I'm going to rate the team as is, and I already think it is very good. Angel's first pick was Rillaboom, a top-tier competitive mon of the past year, and one that impacts every game that it is in, because it has instant grassy terrain and priority moves. The other Pokemon here benefit from grassy terrain. Hitmonlee gets its grassy seed triggered, and then it gets defense boosts, and then double speed off of Unburden. That's a pretty good combination right there. It can coach the Rillaboom. That could be something cool. Oh yeah, Heatran loves the grassy terrain because it has a double weakness to ground, and grassy terrain weakens ground moves. Heatran, besides its ground weakness, is a ridiculously fantastic Pokemon, both offensive and defensively. So that's kind of the other key to this team. Latios and what's the other one? Togetic. Both immune to ground, so Heatran is covered in that way, both from Rillaboom and the two floaters. Actually, Hydreigon floats too, but I believe Angel will be getting rid of it. We have a nice range of speeds, up to Jolteon and down to Togetic. I don't know if there's anything too slow, so maybe this team gets out Trick Roomed sometimes. But Rillaboom and Hitmonlee's priority moves do not care about your speed. The main typing issue I see is the 5 ice weaknesses. Pretty much all important Pokemon. The only mon that resists both ice and water is Suicune. Angel says they might trade. The other team weakness is Fairy. So Heatran double resists both Fairy and Ice, making it the linchpin of this team. I recommend opponents throw out fighting moves, hoping to catch Heatran on the switch, because without Heatran, this team's typing mix is not nearly as good. I see a number of bulky Pokemon here that synergize pretty well. I see a number of value mid-tier picks, which is absolutely how I believe you should draft in VGC. Value picking means you end up with bigger numbers on both offense and defense. You end up with more bringable Pokemon that your opponent has to prep against. My first suggestion for Angel, when they inevitably drop their Dragon, is to pick up something that resists Ice and also is in this little speed gap between Regice and Heatran. Maybe something like Crawdaunt or Relicanth. You know, those were water types that I was looking at that could really benefit from Tailwind by sitting in the middle speed. I thought that my redirection might benefit from them, and maybe your redirection will benefit from them, though get an electric resists in that mix, or both of them get zapped. Anyway, good job. I look forward to seeing the changes, and I do not look forward to fighting against you. We're in our top 3. We have the Seattle Swamperts, coached by Lemuro. This is an interesting approach to drafting. From what I see, Lemuro went big on value over synergy. Basically, get Pokemon with high stats, good typings, good abilities, especially those underpriced in the draft. You're fighting the draft when you're drafting just as much as you're fighting the other opponents who might be taking the Pokemon you want. You want to get the value picks. Don't worry as much about the prepackaged combos or things that tie the whole team together. At least that's the approach that Lemuro is taking, and I think it will work out. There's no obvious Venucole Weather Core going on here, or Dragapult plus Colossal. I do see Salazzle plus Virizion, that beat up Justified combination. But I just see quality picks. I think Lemuro is counting on their ability to make something happen in team building every week. And I already have seen them in other leagues, so I know that they're a good team builder, so I think it will work. Porygon 2 is frankly the hardest to kill Pokemon in the game. Its bulk is a bug that Game Freak should fix. Zapdos, also very hard to KO, only 2 weaknesses. And Regirock, very, very hard to KO. Was it a 200 defense stat or something like that? Yeah, have fun with that. So these 3 are a big reason why this has the highest defense rating in the league. Butterfree is the only Pokemon in the game that has Redirection, Tailwind, and Sleep. So it's very frail, but with a Focus Sash, it gets to do one thing, and it's going to be hard to predict which of those 3 it's going to do. If Butterfree fails, we have 3 strong max Airstreams. That's going to be a good backup and a good way of speed control for this team, which has plenty of Pokemon in the middle, speed-wise. I see generally good typing balance here. We have big ground weaknesses, but also big ground immunities in your 3 flyers. But the rock weakness is a big problem. I hammer this all the time because it's hard to find good rock resists out there, and it's a lot more fun to play with Pokemon that are weak to rock. But this has to be covered somehow. I'm not sure you want to be using Caparajah as like a pivot piece. It doesn't do anything. That's just my opinion. But Virizion resists rock and ground and electric and water, the 4 weaknesses to this team, making Virizion the key Pokemon on this team. To beat this team, you need to have a plan to beat Virizion, also Butterfree and Porygon 2. We have overall good support move coverage. Yeah, lots of stuff here, and also 3 fake outs. And we have the GOAT, P2, P2 carries teams. So this is either a fantastic team or a good team, but I'm going to err on the side of a fantastic team. We'll see how well value pays off. Number 2, good team alert, strong team alert. This is what 5 out of 5 in offense looks like. Charizard G-Max in Sun is unreasonably strong. Sableye has Prankster Sun setting. We've got a Rock and Ground type. That's not a Rock and Ground type. In Aerodactyl and Swampert, that's what I meant. Rock and Ground in these 2, and they both benefit from Sun setting as well, because water becomes weakened. Yeah, so I hammer on the rock weaknesses and how it's really hard to avoid the rock weaknesses, but Charizard doesn't care about your rock weakness if it has already killed everybody. So Hopeless does not go in all in on the Sun synergies. I think their approach to draft is get just enough to be scary in a lot of different directions. The combination of Hatterene and Indeedee is a classic. Definitely has won tournaments. Psyspam is scary. The threat to Redirect and Trick Room is equally scary. I don't know how to cover for both of those because Psychic Terrain is up and you can't fake out anything. Generally, this is a fast mode team. Aerodactyl, I think, is a wonderful Tailwind setter. I have them in my other league. But when Hatterene comes, I mean, basically, it's just a Hatterene game if Hatterene is going to be setting Trick Room, because I think only it and Swampert are like the Trick Room options. So if Hatterene comes, then it means it's a great Hatterene matchup or a great Swampert matchup. And honestly, that's enough, right? The 136 base power terrain boosted moves on Hatterene's side. The G-Max move that just nullifies the opponent's max move sometimes. That's very scary. And so Hopeless is not relying on Trick Room. They're just have just enough of it to be scary for the right matchup. You would think that Sableye as a prankster would conflict with Indeedee's Psychic Terrain. However, I kind of like the combination because your opponent can't reasonably bring their pranksters against Indeedee's Psychic Terrain, but Hopeless gets the choice of when Psychic Terrain goes up. So they can sometimes keep Indeedee in the back or not bring it, and then Sableye can go nuts. Durant is a little strange to me because of its double fire weakness, and then so it's not going to come at the same time as Charizard, but there are some Durant games where it's Hustle boosted, Life Orb boosted, Durant stuff kills everything. So that's another great offensive piece. Haxorus. Haxorus is like the 5th offensive piece I've talked about, but it has 147 base attack. So this is a really scary offensive team. Relatively light on the speed control, but we do have max airstream from Charizard, a quality Trick Room setter in Hatterene. Prankster Quash from Phrase Sableye, the only mon that can just tell you to wait patiently until the end of the turn. And then, well, that's it really. I think this team will struggle against some Trick Room modes, forced Trick Room modes that beat Hatterene or Swampert. Maybe that earlier Trick Room mode. Torkoal versus, no, Swampert beats Torkoal, but I might do my theory crafting right now in the middle of a video. Gonna be hard to beat Hopeless. I think they have a wonderful team, and I am excited that I have dodged Hopeless in my regular season schedule. It makes me more hopeful. Number 1, the Deepwoods Decidueyes, coached by Mick. This team is, in a word, beautiful. This is what happens when you build around a key Pokemon or two, with strong pieces that all benefit from that Pokemon, and sprinkle in all the great support moves and speed control that can tip the scales in one matchup or another. This makes it very difficult to counter this team. The key Pokemon, as you may already see, is Politoed. Politoed brings the rain when it enters battle. Kingdra gets double speed in rain and just immediately starts firing off max water moves. I've already praised the other Rillaboom. This one's fire weakness is blunted by the fact that the rain is up. It also removes the water Pokemon on the other side who want to benefit from the rain. Metagross is also a powerhouse of a Pokemon, one of the best Draft League Pokemon, period, because it has one of the largest move pools in the whole game. Its fire weakness is also helped by the rain. Watermons mean weaknesses to electric attacks, but we have a Raichu. Not actually a ton of electric weaknesses here, just 2. But Raichu's a great overall annoying Pokemon. It's got one of the fastest fake outs. Yeah, I think it's going to do well on this team. Urshifu is your nuke. Unreasonably strong, fix this Pokemon. They can clean up in the end game. After Max Kingdra just fires off 3 Airstreams or Max Waters, and then the opponent is in shambles, and then Urshifu cleans up. That's usually the strategy. These 6 Mons exactly can be brought to a Series 7 tournament and do well. They could be brought to a Draft League every week and do pretty well. What separates this team from another top-heavy team is that these cute 4 at the bottom have just a ton of speed control and just all-around annoying, weird and hard to prep for options. Fungus is Spore. Fletchling, for 2 points, has priority Tailwind. Purloin has Prankster. Aromatisse blocks Taunt, and it's a good Trick Room setter. So just, we have this great team supplemented by these 4, and you don't know which is coming each game. One's coming, and then it's going to ruin your day, and then the next week, a different one is coming to ruin your day in a whole different way. So that's the key to this draft strategy, why I think this is one of the best teams. I think it's the best team, but it's definitely one of the best teams, is that we have an amazing mode that's reliable, an amazing combination that is supplemented by different little dials that can win you different matchups week over week. I don't really love playing with a team that wants to play the same way every week, and that should be a weakness for a draft team that is really countering this team. If you have weather control, really good weather control, then the rain is not going to stay up, and that's going to be a problem for this team. We do have 3 fake outs, so that's a good start towards disrupting anything the opponent wants to do. But if you build a cohesive team like this, threatens you in every speed tier, forces you to guess what they're trying to do, then this team has a shot against any other team in the league. Well done, Mick. I am not looking forward to fighting you this year. Surprise, it's tomorrow, and now I can talk about my team. I'm not going to give away all of the strats, because why would I do that? But I will share some of my thought process. This is my 4th VGC draft. I think I learned a few things from the previous draft. I had a couple of hypotheses that I'm specifically trying to test with this draft, and we'll see how they go. The first being, just minimize your weaknesses. Sounds easy, right? We're trying to minimize type weaknesses on each mon and on the team overall. This is the only team in the league, I think, that has no more than 2 weaknesses to any type. When you remove Fletchinder, whose typing is irrelevant because its job is to set Tailwind and then die as soon as possible, then I've got no net weaknesses to anything except Berry, which is the rarest offensive coverage to get. In Draft League, coaches will target your weaknesses. They're going to find the perfect coverage to hit as many mon super effectively. So if that is not easy to do because you don't have a lot of weaknesses in the first place, then I think you'll have an edge. The second hypothesis is natural speed overrated, speed control underrated. This is not the fastest team. You can reach up to 169 with Garchomp, but if you think you're in the clear, if you bring one of your guys up to 170, you're very wrong because I have priority Tailwind. Any of my guys can get to 85, and then you just instantly double it. So you're in a bit of trouble there. Icy Wind, Bulldoze, Electroweb, T-Wave, plenty of options, as well as, cannot forget about Porygon Z, Adaptability boosted, Life Orb boosted, Modest Max, Max Strike. It is the strongest move in the entire game, and it provides speed control at the same time. My hope is that I can identify when I need more speed, and then give myself more speed, but not be locked into a lot of speed when I set Trick Room, for example, or the opponent set Trick Room. I've got a pretty slow option in Reuniclus that has great speed when in Trick Room, great offense, great defense. Shoutouts to Samax. This is a great Pokemon, and I think it's really high value, which is the third pick, or the third hypothesis. Focus on value. Bigger numbers on offense, defense, more bringable mons and strategies. If you've got more, then you'll have the edge. I think when you're playing in Draft League, you're playing against the draft board, and you're trying to use your points or selections in certain tiers, or however it's organized, as efficiently as possible. Umbreon for 6 points is amazing. I'm so excited about that. Reuniclus for 9 is amazing. Vikavolt for 9, that's 145 special attack stat. And I didn't get anyone in the highest price range because there's nobody I'd rather want than Garchomp as the role of Glass Cannon. There is nothing I'd rather want for support than Clefairy. Clefairy fights for her friends, and she does a great job doing it. The last thing is just a fun strategy that I'm excited to try out in Draft League, which is Disquake. Earthquake and Discharge hit everybody, including allies, but 4 of my mons are immune to Garchomp's Earthquakes, and Rotom Wash and Vikavolt can fire off discharges that Garchomp is immune to. So this is a ton of offensive pressure these 2 moves provide, as well as Parahacks. But you can't redirect your way out of this. You can't ally switch your way out of this. I'm hoping that it forces my opponents to make tough decisions. This team doesn't have everything, of course, because no team does. There are some things that I think coaches assume they need this team doesn't have. But my hope is, speed control, bigger numbers, no weaknesses. Then what do you do against this team? That is the hope. But we're going to have to adapt as the season goes on. That's the end of it. That is all of the teams analyzed. So I guess we can just show my face now. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you do YouTube things, that's even better. Like and comment and subscribe. Constructive criticism is really helpful. I know that I'm still figuring out the audio situation. I'm trying to do match commentary and team builders, motivation willing and not messing up the recording willing. What else do I have to say? Oh, in the future, I'm going to have endings to my videos. Have a nice day.